And now, ladies and gentlemen, it is time to announce one of the Melbourne Press Club's national awards. We celebrate the most prestigious national award in Australian journalism, and that is, of course, the Graham Perkin Australian Journalist of the Year Award. In October, it will be 49 years since the sudden death of one of Australia's finest editors, Graham Perkin. Tonight, the Melbourne Press Club is proud to present the 48th Australian Journalist of the Year Award in his honour. It is one of Australian journalism's richest prizes, sponsored by The Age, Perkins newspaper, and it comes with a $10,000 cash prize. Could you please give a very warm welcome to the stage the chair of the Perkin Award judging panel and ABC News anchor Michael Rowland, with the editor of The Age, Patrick Elliott, to help us present this award.
Hello and good evening. I'd firstly like to, before we get to the Perkin shortlist, welcome and acknowledge Chung Lei, who's in the room tonight. I was speaking to Chung Lei, and sorry for embarrassing you, but I think it's great to see you and welcome back to a room full of fellow journalists. I was speaking to Chung Lei before, and she said this was her first quills. I said that wasn't necessarily a bad thing. But it's great to see you, Chung Lei, and it's great to see you home. I'd like to thank my fellow judges for the Perkin Award, Cameron Stewart from The Australian, Monique Farmer from The Age and the Sydney Morning Herald. Again, it was a great challenge whittling away. It was a fairly long list into a short list of great nominees, and I think once we bring up the short list, you will see why this award is so deservedly presented to some fine journalists. So if we could go to the short list now, and we can start from the very top there. Neil Chenoweth and Edmund Tadros from the Australian Financial Review. We all saw that explosive story at the start of last year where they revealed that senior PwC figures were releasing confidential Treasury documents in a bid to drum up business for the consulting giant. The story had an enormous impact. The chief executive went, the company was broken up, and we have a multitude of inquiries continuing. So, Neil and Edmund, congratulations. Next, my colleague Stephanie March at the ABC has made the shortlist for a series of terrific, compelling stories for the Foreign Correspondent program. There was one, you might have seen it, a really confronting story on online child abuse in the Philippines, another story documenting the humanitarian crisis in Somalia, all the stories meticulously researched, beautifully produced, and to be honest, given the dicey situation Steph and the crew found themselves in, Steph and her crew showing tremendous courage in bringing those stories to Australian audiences. Congratulations, Steph. Next on the list, Kate McClimate has made the shortlist for her series of stories. Hello, Kate. Late last year, bombshell stories documenting indecent assault allegations levelled by a number of young men against prominent broadcaster Alan Jones. It was a story years in the making, lots of digging, which Kate is very good at, and importantly for these sort of stories, lots of work involved in garnering the confidence of the young men making those accusations. Kate McClimate, congratulations. And we all know this last guy on the list, Nick McKenzie. Honestly, every year Nick McKenzie raises the bar for himself and as a result Australian journalism. He has made the shortlist this year for a series of stories, including revealing those incriminating WhatsApp messages sent by the now former head of the Home Affairs Department, Mike Pizzullo, to a senior Liberal Party power broker, trying to have some influence in Liberal Party affairs. He did a story on corruption infecting Australia's Pacific Solution and a few others. Again, a truly excellent journalist. Nick McKenzie, congratulations. And now I'll hand it over to Patrick to announce the winner.
Congratulations to all the nominees tonight, and thank you to the Melbourne Press Club for an excellent event, as always. The winner of the 48th Graham Perkin Australian Journalist of the Year Awards is Neil Chenoweth and Edmund Tadros.
In a story that dominated the news cycle, Edmund Tadros and Neil Chenoweth exposed how senior figures at PwC leaked confidential Treasury documents, all to drum up tax business for their firm. The revelations led to the breakup of the accounting giant, the departure of the CEO, and the biggest crackdown on misconduct by tax advisors in Australian history. The journalist displayed true courage and determination in pursuing various leads, including how governments had become too reliant on the work of the big consulting firms. It is truly memorable and excellent journalism in the finest Graham Perkin tradition.
Hi, thank you. Thanks to all the judges and the quills. I'm just going to do a series of thanks. I didn't want to miss anyone. Congrats to all the other finalists. Kate and Nick, I know. Stephanie March's stuff, I've watched. It was amazing. Bit bewildering for Neil and I to win against such sort of high competition. Firstly, thanks to Neil. Neil's sort of, I guess we're like a comedy duo in the Fin Review news thing. He can piece things together. I go and chat to people and somehow works. To all of the PwC contacts, past and present, who spoke to us, very generous with their time and knowledge. This wouldn't have been possible without their sort of sense of injustice at all. They were much more upset than anyone else. To the senators, so we did our stories, but what really sort of brought it to life was these sort of overlapping inquiries. So Deborah O'Neill, Barbara Pocock, Richard Colbeck, Treasurer Jim Chalmers, Assistant Treasurer Stephen Jones, they took this seriously from the very beginning. My wife Charmaine, her love and support, and very patient. It's not very easy or entertaining to be married to an accounting reporter, so I appreciate that. And my daughter, who told me this must be important because it was on one of the social media things that she really shouldn't be using. So I love them both. And at the AFR, very quickly, Stutch, the editor-in-chief, he's the guy who you go sort of down into a tunnel, grabs your collar every now and again, tells you to file. Very good at knowing when to do that. Fiona Buffini, the editor, who's always helping us just get things over the line. Andrew Burke, who's helping us shape it. Sarah, quick turnaround for features editing. Mary Ellen, the very, very patient production editor. And I guess the only other thing is I'm just really hoping that there's a lot of reform in this area. So we've had a sort of 6 months of craziness, and I'm hoping that these companies, which are in all sorts of different areas of life, are sort of subject to the same accountability as a listed company and what you'd expect. That's all I have to say. Well, up to you.
Thank you. You're very, very kind. I think you can normally pick up business journalists in a crowd like this because we're the people that are trying to explain what we do and everyone's eyes glaze over. For the most part, we write about people with lots and lots of money behaving badly. And fortunately, I come from Sydney, so there's a lot of material. I have hopes of that Melbourne might kind of come up there, but you know, the PwC story was, I think, one of the simplest stories, and yet one of the most complicated stories, because it's about the sinews of power within the institutions and the powerful forces that shape our society. I mean, at the one level, it's about a couple of partners of PwC being asked to do something for their country, to help draw up tax avoidance laws, to put their own interests, their firm's interests at the door and ask to do something for free for us all. And that's not what they did. The Tax Practitioners Board has found that, in fact, they used that material to pitch to new clients. They managed to monetize what they were doing, and there's a sense of real betrayal there. But then you look at it, a couple of bad apples. PwC's report shows up an entire culture in which that sorts of bad behaviour takes place. And then you look further and you see the clients, you see Google, you see Uber, Facebook, they're the ones that we know about. But in fact, PwC, I think, pitched to them all. And they weren't really fussed, I don't think, in terms of where that information came from. Their concern was, can they pay less tax here? You've got PwC International swooping in. They're not concerned about things here either. They just want to save face for their own work around the world. But these are some of the most powerful kind of groups and institutions that we see. And I think this is why this story is important. On the other side, you've got the tax office. Took 5.5, 6 years for this story to become public, which you've got to say looks like a fiasco to me. And you see now you see a continuing allegations raised that in fact the tax office was never very keen on the investigation broadening from one bad apple to the whole PwC firm. That's why it's an important story for us, and uncovering why that happened is what keeps us, well, we're still in the process of doing there. That kind of commitment requires the wholesale support and encouragement and work that the whole newsroom gave us. It required the continued support of Michael Stutchbury and Fiona Buffini, who lead the paper, and it required the support of our family and wives. So thank you, Joe, again. Much appreciated.